Did I scare you? Don't answer that, of course I did. Coward. That feeling you totally, definitely just felt? That's fear, baby. A feeling that's been harder and harder to come by the older I've gotten. Well, at least, the fun kind of fear. Now, instead of ghosts, clowns, and fish, it's economic inflation, general existentialism, and feelings of inadequacy. And still fish, to be honest. But one thing that still manages to give me that same feeling of the jeebies as it did when I was younger is the FNAF 1 animatronics. Specifically FNAF 1's. None of the other games have been able to unsettle me in the slightest, even as a kid. I think everything about the original animatronics presentation is genius, and I feel like they often get overlooked or underappreciated in favor of other FNAF-y things. Why is that the case though? What sets Fazboy and his gang of cantankerous contemporaries so far apart from the others? Well, for starters, we gotta look at their design. The original 4 animatronics are unique in the sense of how grounded in reality their designs are. I would actually expect to see animatronics like these at a dingy pizza place. And just like the ones in real life, they sit in that perfect spot in the uncanny valley. None of the others seem to have this same effect. Take the toy ones from the next game, for example. We never see anything resembling these kinds of animatronics in real life, which loses a bit of that sense of immersion. We don't see them in motion on stage either, giving them more of a simple killer robot vibe rather than an actual Showtime animatronic. So we don't get that same kind of eeriness that comes with. And hey, on the topic of the toys, look at this, look at this. Notice anything? That's right, not a smudge. A stain. They're squeaky clean! The filthiness of the original 4 is such an underrated aspect of what makes them so disturbing. These guys actually look like they haven't been washed in 20 years and have the rotting corpse of a child stuffed inside of them. And the details that part adds, like the mention of the customers noticing them reeking and seeping blood and mucus from their eyes and mouth, really adds to it. As we know, these dead kiddos are the reason Fredboy and his pals are haunted. Also, hang on, can we just talk about how badass of a transition that this is? Oh my, it's so good! There's some of the few animatronics in the series that are possessed, and that makes them a lot more of an intimidating threat. We can see why in the gameplay. Frederick, Bunny, and Chico are all capable of moving between 2 locations in the blink of an eye. If they're capable of this kind of schmovement, it's pretty clear that they could easily get their hands on the player without any difficulty. It's almost as if they're sadistically toying with the player rather than attacking immediately. And speaking of attacking, a huge area of missed potential in the mainline FNAF games, in my opinion, is the game overs. The original 4 animatronics are made so much scarier by what they actually do to the player upon getting their grubby mitts on us. Messing up in any other game usually just causes the screen to cut to black after the jump scare, implying the player encountered a swift death. Maybe Foxy simply bit our head off, or Bonnie gently squeezed our throat till it resembled a plastic straw. But these guys? Phone Guy is happy to detail how upon being discovered, the player will be forcefully stuffed into an animatronic suit, having their eyeballs and teeth pressed out of their skull. Maybe I'm just not a fan of body horror, but even as an adult, this never sat right with me. Like how I feel after eating the Taco Bell $5 combo deal. Which, by the way, is still worth it. A Baja Blast on its own costs $2.60, so you're getting the other 3 items at an average cost of 80 cents each. Incredible. The horrific implications of what happens after the screen goes black, along with that disturbing game over screen, brings a new level of direness to the situation the player finds themselves in. And the phone call on night 4 complements this even more.
Hey, do me a favor. Maybe sometime you could check inside those suits in the back room. I'm gonna try to hold out until someone checks. Maybe it won't be so bad. Oh no.
Phone Guy isn't even bothering to look for other options or a way to escape. He's completely accepted that his death is inevitable, and why wouldn't it be? Due to their possessed, ghostly nature, the original 4 have abilities that none of the others do. You can't fool them with a fake Freddy head or distract them with an audio lure. Come on, man, really? What makes the game over screen even spookier is the fact that Phone Guy isn't telling the truth. These animatronics aren't stuffing your body into a suit because it's against the rules. I would have done air quotes there, but I don't have fingers. In the backstage, there's an endoskeleton Bonnie can come across multiple times, but doesn't do anything with it. This implies it's not the animatronics programming that's doing this to the player. It's the sadistic nature of these dead children. They are specifically choosing to go after and not only kill the player, but doing it in one of the most horrifying ways possible. This screen and the nature of the animatronics really drive home the point that the only option you have in FNAF 1 is not getting caught, giving the game a further intense feeling of dread and helplessness. It's so good. Why'd they only do this in the first game? So many of the other games could have been made 10 times scarier by having horrifying implications like these instead of just killing the player off immediately. Especially FNAF 3, like, what? Springtrap just walks up to you and you get a game over. What happens? Why does the screen go black? Does he even kill the player? Maybe he's just saying hi. Afton is a psycho. You can make the game so much scarier by giving the player an actual serious need to want to avoid him because of what will happen when he gets you. Speaking of the mess that FNAF 3 was, the simplicity of every aspect of FNAF 1 is what ties the animatronics fear factor all together in the first place. What little lore the game had to offer at the time forced the player to fill in the gaps themselves. So much was left unanswered, and that's part of what made these animatronics so unnerving and mysterious. Who was this secret fifth animatronic? What was the Bite of 87? Nowadays, there's a incredibly muddied timeline, a messy explanation for every single detail the game has to offer, leaving nothing for the player to speculate or stew on instead of passing their classes. The lore has gotten so convoluted and strung out that you basically need a bachelor's degree in FNAF lore to be able to understand anything, and that's before they start talking about Remnant. The simplicity complements the gameplay too. Your options of what you can do in-game are so limited. You can check the cameras or close the doors, both of which you want to avoid to conserve power, so you're forced to take in the atmosphere and the threatening presence of these animatronics. And look at FNAF 2 by comparison. You're checking cameras, vents, winding that stupid music box, flipping the mask on, shining your light. Your brain is so busy micromanaging a dozen simple tasks that you completely forget you're in a horror game or a dangerous situation. You don't have much time to take in the environment because, oh wait, have you winded up the music? Oh, you gotta wind up that music box, lol, GG! Most of the time, it's actually completely unoptimal to be looking at the cameras in the first place in this game. Getting jump scared in FNAF 2 has always been more of a dang it feeling rather than a terrifying climax to a helpless struggle. But hey, this is just all about what makes these guys the scariest in the series, in my opinion. Yes, the FNAF 2 formula doesn't set up its animatronics to be as terrifying as the first games, but as an actual video game, it's a lot more entertaining. And hey, that's not to say the other animatronics aren't scary. I'm just pointing out what makes the original four stand out. And at the end of the day, we all know that none of them are going to be anywhere near as scary as— Jesus Christ!